Good morning to my dear students of class 8, and I am happy to welcome you all to today's botany class. What are we going to learn today? Our today's topic is abiotic components. What is the topic? Abiotic components. You know, bio is living, right? Study about living organisms is called biology, right? So what is abiotic? A means absence. So the components which are not living organisms. Abiotic means non-living. So non-living components is abiotic components. In our ecosystem, we have studied in our previous classes about food chains, food webs all, which involves living organisms, right? Either producers, consumers, whatever it is, all of them are living organisms. In our ecosystem, apart from these living organisms, there are also non-living organisms or components involved, without which the living organisms cannot function. About those abiotic or non-living components we will be learning in today's class. So let's get started. These abiotic components are classified into two types. All of them are non-living, but they are classified or separated into two called physical components and climatic components. Climate, you know, and physical, whatever you can feel, that is all physical components. Okay, so these physical and climatic components together only include abiotic components. So we will be learning first about the physical components in our ecosystem one by one in detail. So the first physical component is air. So what does air contain? Air has two main gases. One is oxygen and the next important gas is carbon dioxide. There are also other gases like nitrogen and other gases, also many gases we have in the atmosphere, but the two main gases which is directly related to the functioning of the living organisms are oxygen and carbon dioxide. How it is used? How oxygen is used? Oxygen is used for the process of respiration in both plants and animals. You know, right? So what is the function of oxygen? The abiotic component air includes a major gas as oxygen, which is important for the respiration of plants as well as the animals. Okay, so what is the next gas present? It is carbon dioxide. So we exhale carbon dioxide. Exhale means exhalation, means giving out carbon dioxide, which is a waste product from our body. But for the plants, this is the important gas or essential gas, because we have studied in the process of photosynthesis, the raw material is, the major raw material is the carbon dioxide gas, which gets into the plant through the stomata of the leaves, right? So this carbon dioxide is the major component essential for the plants, because for the process of photosynthesis carbon dioxide is essential. So for respiration, oxygen is used both by the plants and the animals, and the gas carbon dioxide is used by the plants for the process of photosynthesis. Also, apart from this, wind is also under the category air, because air only causes wind, no? So why do we need wind? Wind is essential because it helps. Say for example, one example is given. There are many concepts about wind, but the one which is given in your textbook is, because of the wind only pollen grains get dispersed. What does this mean? What is a pollen grain? Pollen grain is the male part of the flower, right? Which you have studied about pollination, where pollen grains has to be transferred from the male part to the female part of the flower. Then only pollination will happen, no? For the transfer, the main agent we have studied about, wind as pollinating agent, animals as pollinating agent, all you have studied, no? And water also. So one major factor which is essential for pollination or the transfer of pollen grains is the wind. So wind also help the living organisms to propagate in some way. Okay, so what we have studied about air? Air is the First, abiotic components in our ecosystem. So in air we have the major gas called oxygen, which is used for respiration in plants and as well as in animals, and the second important gas is the carbon dioxide, which is essential for the plants for photosynthesis, and also wind is essential for the pollen grains to get dispersed for the propagation of plants easily. So this is all about air. What is the next component? The next component is water. Water is also a major component in our abiotic component in our ecosystem. So why all we need water? Why animals need water? First of all, we all drink so much of water. No, why do we drink water? We drink water for the digestion of food materials. Simply solid food, if we eat, no, it will not get digested. That's why every day you have to drink at least 8 to 10 glasses of water, right? So it helps in digestion, and then it helps in excretion. If you don't drink water, no, your motion will become tight. So for excretion also, and also not only for the solid waste, the removal of urine from your body also needs so much of water intake. So for excretion process and the waste materials to be released also for human or other animals, water is essential. And also for circulation, we have studied about circulatory system, where the major component of your blood is again water. So not only for your digestion and excretion, but also for the proper functioning of your body in the form of the circulatory system, that is the blood, you need water. That's why when a person loses his blood, suppose if there is an accident, when certain amount of blood is lost from a human body, the man is no more, he is dead, right? So that important water is essential, because it is the major component of blood also. So in animals, water is helpful in digestion, excretion and circulation. What about plants? For plants, one more major raw material in the process of photosynthesis is water. No, what all you need for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide gas, water and sunlight. These are the major components of photosynthesis. No, so again for the plants, for the process of photosynthesis, water is one more major component. So plants need water for photosynthesis, and also for germination of seeds. We have studied about germination also, right? So suppose if you store a seed in a container in the kitchen for so many days, it will not germinate, it will remain as such until you provide water. Say for example, if you take those seeds and soak it in water, take some mustard seeds, until it is in the container, the mustard seeds will not germinate, right? At the same time, when you take mustard seeds and put it inside water, within 1 or 2 days, what you can see, small plants will germinate, right? So whenever water is provided to the seeds, it will result in germination. So for every seed germination, water is essential. This way it is helpful to the plants. And again, aquatic plants and animals need water for their survival. What are aquatic plants and aquatic animals? One aquatic animal you can call fish as an aquatic animal, right? So because these plants, these group of plants and animals, that is aquatic plants and animals, definitely need water for their survival. You cannot try to cultivate aquatic plants on a land. If you plant on that plant on the land, it will not grow, right? So because it is an aquatic plant. Similarly, you cannot try fish to make it live in a land, because it is a aquatic animal. So without the presence of water, aquatic plants and animals cannot survive. So again, water is essential. And also, apart from survival factors, in our day-to-day life, for our domestic use, what is domestic use? The routine what we do by having water, say for example for drinking, for bathing, for cleaning vessels, these are all domestic purposes. And for agriculture, whenever a farmer wants to cultivate a plant for agriculture also, he needs so much of water or uses so much of water. And industries, they also need water on a large scale for all the processes happening in a industry, right? So these many uses we have from this abiotic factor, important or major abiotic factor called water. So what all have we studied about the abiotic component called water? Water is essential for the animals inside the body for the process of excretion, digestion and circulation. What about the plants? Plants need water for photosynthesis and also for germination of the seeds also. Without water the seeds can't germinate, and it is a mandatory factor that aquatic plants and animals definitely need water for their survival, otherwise they will also die. And finally, human use water for domestic purposes in their day-to-day life, and also farmers use for agriculture, and in industries for every process water is essential. So these are some of the uses of the abiotic factor called water. The next abiotic factor is soil. What is soil? How soil is formed? You must have learnt in geography, no? How soil is formed from big rocks. For many years together, weathering happens. What is weathering? Repeated heat and cold or fluctuation in temperature, no, will make the rocks to break into small particles. When it is hot and cold again and again, no, the rocks will break into small pieces, and that is only found as the soil. But it doesn't happen in 1 or 2 days, over thousands of years, no, after thousands of years, when there is repeated heating and colding on a hot and cold weather on a object for many years together, it will break down into small soil particles. That is how soil is formed. Okay, how soil helps the living organisms in the ecosystem? What are all the uses? It is a dwelling place for rats and earthworms and many more organisms. What is a dwelling place? Living place or habitat. Which is your dwelling place? We live at home, right? Similarly, the dwelling place for rats and earthworms is soil. So it is, without that you cannot cultivate or make the earthworm grow into your house, right? It needs its own house, which is the soil. So it is a dwelling place, and plants are fixed through the roots in the soil. So plants are fixed to the ground only through the soil. If there is no soil, it cannot stand erect or it cannot stand straight, right? It needs a support for its upright position. Which one? Plants need support, and it is provided by the soil because the roots are fixed into the soil. And then plant growth needs water and nutrients, no? Where you can find nutrients? For every plant we do not apply fertilizers, right? Do we apply fertilizers to every plant which is around us? No, right? Whatever we grow in our garden only we apply fertilizers sometimes. But what about the plants which are on the streets or in the forest? Who provides fertilizers all? It takes the nutrients which is naturally present in the soil, and also water is available in the underground, no? Even if we don't pour water for every plant in this universe, it can take water from the underground water table. We have water below the ground, no? From that it can take up the water. So for the uptake of nutrients and also for the uptake of water, it needs soil because nutrients are present in the soil and water is also present between the soil particles only. Underground water is found between the soil particles. So for both of them also what is needed? Soil is needed. And then humus. What is humus? See, every soil type will have different percentage of humus. If humus is very rich, that black soil particle formed after many years of nutrients getting decomposed. Say for example, you bury some leaves under the soil, okay, wait for some days, and after some days you can find black particles. That is called as humus, right? So the fertility of the soil depends upon how much of humus is present. If more humus is present, it means it is a fertile soil, right? So that we categorize the type of soil based on the percentage of humus present in every type of soil. And also all the plants cannot grow in all the type of soils. Clear? Some can grow only on sandy soil, some needs red soil, some needs black soil, no? That is all categorized by the percentage of humus present in the soil. So what have we studied about soil? Soil is formed by weathering of the rocks, see big rocks, after they weather or they are broken down into small particles after thousands of years because of fluctuations in weather, that is repeated hot and cold conditions in the environment. So the uses of soil are, it is a dwelling place for rats and earthworms, and plants need soil to fix their roots, to stand upright, and then plant growth depends upon the nutrients in the soil, because every time we do not provide fertilizers or water. So the water and nutrients are naturally present in the underground soil, and also humus decides the type of soil and also the type of plant which is supposed to grow in particular type of soil. These are some of the uses of the abiotic factor called soil. The next abiotic factor is temperature. How temperature influences the life of living organisms in an ecosystem, we will see. Okay. So how important is temperature? Temperature determines the distribution of plant or animal. So because of temperature only, one particular plant can survive either in a hot condition or a cold condition. So some plants will need very high temperature for their growth, all no, and some will need very cold, like apple trees all need a cold climate. You cannot, if you try to cultivate in India all, it doesn't, particularly in South India all, it doesn't work out so much in our place. But in colder places, you can find, in other countries all, it is common. Apple trees you can cultivate in your garden because you have winters over there, no, for 3-4 months in a year you have winter which will support the growth of the tree. So the type of plant which grows in a particular place depends upon the temperature of a place or a country. Okay. And then some examples are given. Say for example, pine tree can be cultivated only in mountains, and camel can be found mostly only in the desert, and seal, you can find seal only on frozen conditions, or on the ice only you can see seals. So 3 examples given in your textbook are: pine tree can be found on the mountains, camels on the desert, and seal on the ice or frozen regions mostly. So the temperature of a place only will determine which plant has to grow in a place, or it applies even to animals. See, camel will grow in hot place, that is in the desert, and seal will grow on a cold, or survive in a cold place, that is on a frozen condition or ice. So the temperature will decide which type of animal or plant should live where, it will decide. And then one more example is given about migration. Siberian cranes will migrate because they do not prefer winter. So the crane called Siberian crane, from cranes from Siberia, the country, what they do, they will migrate to a warmer place in the winter because they do not want to survive in the cold winter conditions. So whenever there is winter, it will migrate to some other place. Siberian cranes, all these you have to learn, okay, these terms all. And then hibernation. Have you heard this word hibernation? Like a polar bear, no, will be sleeping throughout the cold winter conditions. A longer duration of sleep is called hibernation. We sleep only for 8 hours, no, maximum. If you are too lazy also, within 12 hours we get up, right? But hibernation is for months together, the animal will be sleeping without eating or waking up, it will sleep together. It is hibernation. Why it does that? Because it wants to avoid winter, to avoid the winter cold climate all. What they do, they keep sleeping for months together until winter is over. The process is called hibernation. And there is one more term called estivation. What is estivation? Estivation is long summer sleep. Some animals sleep in winters, no, like polar bears all sleep in the winter, but some animals will sleep in the summer. If an animal is going to sleep in summer, it is called estivation. And then also the blooming. What is blooming? Flowers bloom, right? They open up only during the day. The blooming of the flowers happen only during the day because it needs a warmer temperature to bloom up. So for many reasons, temperature influence the life or the daily activities of both plants and animals we have studied. So what all we have studied? The temperature will only determine which type of plant or animal has to live in which place. The distribution of a plant or an animal is decided by the temperature of a particular place we have seen. Then some examples given in your book are, example, pine tree grow on mountains, camels live in desert, and seal live on the ice. They can survive only in particular temperatures. And also migration also happens because of change in temperature. Say for example, Siberian cranes will migrate to a warmer place during the cold winter to skip the cold climatic conditions. And there is a there are two processes called hibernation and aestivation, where hibernation is long winter sleep and aestivation is long summer sleep. To avoid extreme cold and warm conditions, some animals, not every animal, some animals will undergo hibernation in winter and some will undergo aestivation in summer to avoid the cold and the warm climate for a longer duration. And also temperature will decide the flowers to bloom. Only a higher temperature will support the blooming of the flowers. Then there are some examples given for animals which hibernate usually: snakes, lizards, toad. Snakes you know, lizards you know, toad is a type of frog, and polar bear. These are all examples of animals which undergo hibernation. What is hibernation? These animals all will keep on sleeping in winter. Clear? So this is about temperature as a abiotic factor. The next factor is humidity. What is humidity? The amount of water vapor which is present in the atmosphere is called humidity. This humidity, daily in weather report, what you see, not only in the news, even in your mobiles, the temperature will be displayed in your home screen, right? So below that, if you see, one column will be given as humidity. How much percentage of water vapor content will be present in the atmosphere today? Like that, you will get. Along with the temperature, the humidity levels also will be displayed, right? So what does this mean? How much percentage of water content will be available in the atmosphere? That is called humidity. This humidity will vary from place to place. All the countries will not have the same humid levels. It will vary, the water vapor available, and also day to day also it will vary. Today and tomorrow will not have the same type of humidity. Okay, is it good or bad if a temperature is highly humid? Is it good or bad? In some ways it is good and in some ways it is bad. Okay, so high humidity supports the growth of bacteria and fungi. What does this mean? See, usually if you have leather sofa all at your home, you can see some like powder like structures during winters, like a coating of powder you can see. That is a type of fungi. And in your washroom tiles also you can see black spots during winter or highly humid conditions you can see. That is again a fungi. Okay, so if you see these white or black spots somewhere, you have to clean immediately because it is not good for the health of human. Okay, but these growth of fungi or bacteria you can find higher in condition or more in number only during highly humid conditions. When you will have high humidity in the atmosphere, I told you humidity means the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere, no? When you can find more water vapor in the atmosphere? In the winter condition, because once there is rainfall in the atmosphere will have higher water levels, no? Even after the rain is over, the water content will be more in the atmosphere. So high bacterial and fungal growth is present in the environment during high humid conditions. And then one advantage, this is a disadvantage to the human, right? For the bacteria and fungi it is an advantage, they can grow well in humid conditions, but when we relate to ourselves, high humidity will generate so much of bacteria and fungi around us, even in the house, which is bad or negative to the human beings. But high humidity supports decomposition of leaves. Suppose if you bury some leaves in the soil, whenever there is high humidity or water content, decomposition will be faster, which is an advantage. So humidity is good some way, and it is also very important because high humidity will generate clouds and rains. Whenever there is high humidity only, the clouds will be produced, and also we get so much of rain. Rain is an essential factor for human, no? So high humidity supports or triggers rainfall, so it is good in some way. And rainfall influences productivity, this you know. Even for the growth of plants we need rain, and productivity means for the farmers also the rainfall is essential, no? Every time they can't be pouring water. Whenever there is rain, it is a natural process where the production of whatever they are cultivating their field will be increased whenever there is rainfall. So this is all about humidity. So what we have studied in humidity: high humidity will support the growth of bacteria and fungi, and also high humidity will support decomposition, and humidity is essential for the formation of clouds, and in turn we get rainfall, and rainfall influences productivity. So for the production of for the production of food products or food grains, high rainfall is essential. And the last factor is sunlight. Do we need sunlight? Temperature, we have studied already that different temperature will influence the survival or distribution of plants and animals in particular place. What about sunlight? How important is sunlight, abiotic factor in ecosystem? You know, for the process of photosynthesis, again light is a essential factor, and light we do not provide always. From where do they get light? From the natural sunlight plants get light, right? And also plants have a tendency to grow towards the direction of the sunlight. Suppose if you have a plant in your garden, or if even inside your home, if you see the direction of growth of the plants, it will be always towards the sunlight. So from which direction the sunlight comes, towards that direction only the branches of the plants will also grow. So what you can understand from this, plants are attracted to sunlight. They need sunlight for photosynthesis. That's why they try to grow towards that direction. And also flowering and fruiting cycles are good when the day is long. So in India it is okay. We have almost equal days throughout the year, no? Day length, which means the same, say for example, if 6 o'clock the sun rises, 6 o'clock the sun sets, right? So 12 hours we have as a day. But in many countries, if you see, the days are either very short or the days are very long. Even at 4:30 the sun will rise and it will set late night. So longer days, or sometimes the days are very short and nights are long. Like that all, there are fluctuations in many countries. Clear? So this long day, which means countries which have long day, no, the number of hours for a day will be longer, no, those countries will support the growth of plants, because the fruiting and flowering cycles, the process of fruiting or the process of flowering will happen regularly. It will be very good in places wherever the duration of the day is long. And then animals are also active whenever there is a long day. And also there is one more point, poultry, that is the place where we grow hens all, no? The production of eggs or the production of chicken will depend upon the length of the day. The reproductive cycle of the poultry depends upon the length of the day. This is one more important factor for sunlight. So that is all about today's class, and this will be, you will have a break after this class, no? You will have a holidays for Christmas all. So do not waste your time, keep reading your lessons also along with having fun for Christmas. So we'll meet in our next zoology class after a short break. You all take care and bye bye.